Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A courier dumped a mystery package on her Auckland doorstep, its contents rattling like loose dentures. Inside? A single paintbrush, neon pink handle sticky with glitter. No note. Just destiny, laughing. Retirement had left her days hollow as a kawaii pod, but this absurd brush lit a spark. Fingers trembling, she swiped crimson across canvas, first stroke in decades. Memories surged, art fairs where she'd scoffed doodles, now craving their wild joy. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, long forgotten in a junk drawer, tumbled out as she rummaged for candles. Its bristles, stiff with decades-old acrylic, carried whispers of a younger self who'd sketched wildflowers on cafe napkins, back when time stretched endless as Auckland's summer skies. Now, retirement yawned before her, a blank canvas she didn't know how to fill. Fear coiled in her gut like a tangled garden hose. What if she'd already become invisible, another gray ghost shuffling through art fairs, admired but never seen? She gripped brush, its chipped handle familiar as an old friend's laugh. First strokes on paper were hesitant, clumsy as a toddler's steps. But color bloomed beneath her fingers, cobalt waves, Pohutukawa reds, each dab a rebellion against beige expectations. Weekly art therapy sessions became her anchor. Strangers turned comrades nudged her toward a community show. Your stuff's lit, grinned a teen with magenta hair, and Helen's chuckle shook loose something tight in her chest. Opening night buzzed with warm bodies and wine. Her pieces, hung between a quiltmaker's vibrant squares and a woodturner's bowls, glowed under gallery lights. A woman traced a finger over Helen's brushstrokes, murmuring, "This one moves." In that moment, fear unraveled like old knots. Purpose wasn't lost, it was remixed, vibrant, messy, alive. Paintbrush, once dusty with neglect, now danced. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush clattered onto hardwood as she rummaged through dusty boxes, unearthing relics from her teaching days. Fingers traced its splintered handle, sticky with decades-old cerulean. That brush had once lit up classrooms, but now? Retirement stretched before her like a blank canvas she had no idea how to fill. Auckland's autumn air carried whispers of change. On a whim, Helen wandered into a community center, where a flyer for an art therapy workshop clung to a bulletin board like a dare. Inside, mismatched chairs circled a rainbow of half-finished watercolors. A woman with silver braids and a smock splattered like a Pollock painting grinned. "Mondays are for beginners," she said, nudging a palette toward Helen. "No mistakes, just layers." First attempts were not gallery-worthy. Helen's hands, once steady grading papers, now fumbled with brushstrokes. A sunset bled into a mud puddle, a vase of Pohutukawa blossoms resembled lopsided lollipops. But laughter bubbled up instead of frustration. Each stroke became a rebellion against inertia, a silent watchmeet voice insisting she was past reinvention. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of smudged aprons and shared biscuits. Her mentor, braided artist, turned out to be a former corporate lawyer who'd traded briefs for brushwork, showed her how to mix grief into gold, swirling lost purpose into something tactile. That old paintbrush, now cleaned and revered, became a bridge between then and now, duty and joy. Then came flyer for community art fair. "Submit something, anything," her crew urged. Helen hesitated, but a mischievous thought took root. What if? Her submission, a textured collage of layered memories, chalk dust, grandkids' laughter, salty tang of Tamaki Drive, wasn't polished. It was alive. Show day dawned with jitters. Seniors and students milled around her piece, murmuring. One woman, gripping a walker, paused. "Feels like home," she said softly. Helen's throat tightened. Here, among glue stains and vulnerability, she wasn't just someone's grandma or former Miss Thompson from room, she was an artist. And that? That was lit. Twist came when a local gallery owner, sipping terrible punch, offered her a pop-up spot. Not out of pity, because her work had grit. Helen's chuckle lines deepened as she signed contract with a paint-smudged thumbprint. Retirement hadn't erased her, it had simply handed her a new palette. And this time, she got to choose colors. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A stack of unopened mail slipped off her counter, fanning across floor like a sad parade of reminders, pension forms, senior discount flyers, a brochure for active living communities featuring suspiciously spry octogenarians playing tennis. She nudged them aside with a slippered foot, muttering about marketing departments with unrealistic expectations. Retirement wasn't supposed to feel like being benched mid-game. Auckland's winter drizzle didn't help. Gray skies mirrored her mood as she wandered into a community center, lured by a neon flyer for an art therapy class. Discover your inner Picasso. It screamed, which felt ambitious. Still, clutching a borrowed paintbrush splintered handle, bristles splayed like a bad hair day, she sat among strangers, half expecting to bolt. First attempts were not lit. Her sunset looked like a ketchup spill, her attempt to Povutukawa tree resembled a lollipop struck by lightning. But something about smearing colors onto paper, about messing up without consequences, hooked her. She returned, stubborn as a tide, even when her hands shook or her inner critic hissed, "Who do you think you are?" Weeks in, she noticed shifts. Mixing cerulean with burnt umber felt like solving a tiny mystery. Sketching Harbor Bridge, she added a cheeky seagull stealing fries, her first wink joy in months. Art became her rebellion against invisibility, each stroke a middle finger to what now? Gnawing her. Then came flyer for community art fair. Submitting work felt like standing naked in a mall, but she slapped her best piece, a bold, messy portrait of her late terrier, Buster, onto entry table. Judging day, she lurked near a potted fern, heart-thumping. A kid pointed her painting. "That dog's got swagger." Helen snorted. Maybe she did too. When her piece won honorable mention and a gift certificate for more supplies, no one was more shocked than her. Later, sipping terrible punch, she overheard a woman whisper, "That's Buster lady, her work's got soul." Helen grinned into her cup. Retirement hadn't erased her, it just needed a new canvas. Walking home, paintbrush tucked behind her ear like a pirate's sword, she had sky not gray now, but streaked with gold. Auckland's art fairs could wait. She had a date with a blank page and zero apologies. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, flung from her cluttered desk, smacked her forehead as she slumped into retirement's fog. That brush became her lifeline. 3 weeks later, Auckland's Ponsonby Art Fair buzzed with hipsters and silver-haired creatives. She lurked by a stall, clutching a canvas wrapped in grocery bags. Skepticism radiated from Marjorie, her former office mate, who'd once scoffed, "Retirement's for napping, not nonsense." But Helen's fingers itched. She'd spent nights slathering acrylics onto discarded wood, blending memories of her late husband's laughter with strokes of cobalt and gold. No plan. Just guts. Then, chaos. A gust yanked her canvas skyward. She lunged, snagged it midair, and knocked over a display of ceramic mugs. Gasps erupted. But as canvas righted itself, sunlight hit its surface, a whirl of bold strokes forming a face wrinkled, wise, lit with quiet joy. Hers. Marjorie's jaw dropped. "You made that?" A crowd gathered. Phones flashed. Someone yelled, "That's going viral." Helen's pulse roared. No masterpiece, just truth in pigment. Paintbrush still clutched, she smirked her tiny goof, a smudge of cerulean on her sleeve. Later, as strangers peppered her with questions, Helen exhaled. "This is my start." Brush had been right all along. Retirement wasn't an ending, it was a blank canvas, waiting for her to go bold. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, flung from her frustration, smacked wall. Retirement felt like an empty canvas, vast and intimidating. But Auckland's art fairs whispered inspiration. She grabbed that fallen brush, dabbed it in cerulean, and swiped away her doubts. Weeks later, her tiny flat bloomed with half-finished landscapes and abstract bursts. Odd habit? She hummed ABBA while mixing hues, convinced magenta sounded like Dancing Queen. Local seniors, lured by gossip and curiosity, trickled in. Helen guided shaky hands, transforming shaky lines into bold strokes. A former accountant painted her first sunflower, wonky, radiant, hers. Community art shows became their rebellion against invisibility. Helen's crew wrinkled, glitter-flecked, unstoppable, homework in a repurposed fish market. Critics sniffed, crowds vibed. One Piece, a mosaic of broken teacups, through M after divorce, darling, sold $4 brush, now nubby with love, had spun purpose from chaos. By 70, Helen's squad ran pop-up galleries from Rotorua to Christchurch. Age? Just a number, like price tags on their art. Grab a brush, paint your next chapter bold.